Wick and Thompson Limited,
agents for Western Union,
and Beacon Insurance.
Partner is the laundry detergent that gets the job done. This multi-purpose brand is designed with you in mind, catering to all your needs. The soap bar and liquid detergent was created and added to S. Kumar's line of products. This addition guarantees to be mild on the skin, allowing the bar soap to be used as a beauty bar and ideal for hand washing. The liquid soap with added softener leaves your clothes with a bright clean while removing all odor, dirt, and grease. The liquid soap is ideal for your appliances, ensuring great performance. For luxurious laundry detergent, choose a Partner.
We plan for every major life event, from birthday parties to baptisms, and celebrating a life well lived deserves the same thoughtful planning. Beacon's Rest Easy plan is designed to give your loved ones the comfort of knowing that they can do just that. With no underwriting and cover for up to 6 family members that includes certain injuries, this plan can be yours for as little as 75 cents per day. Call us at Beacon or log on to beacon.co.tt for more info today.
2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6.
Education multiplies their chances and places the world of opportunity in their hands. No matter where they are in the world, make sure they are prepared for their journey back to school with Western Union. School fees, books, room and board, whatever the reason. Knowledge, independence, opportunity. Western Union, moving money for better.
Hello, ladies and problems. Hope everybody is well. It's Syisha's face. Good morning, ladies and problems in the audience. It's good to have you guys back with us. Welcome to another show, final one for the week. I believe it's already Thursday. Seems like we started, the 1st of January yesterday, and here we are 13 days into the month. So goes to show that time waits on no one. All right. It's been a really hectic week inside the ladies' room. We've been filled with guests all week long, having some really, really good conversations. And today we want to have another one that is definitely circulating, that's out there in social media sphere again. Of course, the Prime Minister in his press conference yesterday again was asked a question regarding the decriminalization of marijuana. And basically what he said is that they are still in this consultative process, and they'll be going to Parliament to get the conversation out here amongst ourselves and see where we are and where we're willing to go with this. Because as with everything else, I could love to say we are a Christian society, so we can't do everything in isolation. We've got to include all and sundry to be part of this conversation. So while we're still talking, the rest of the world is speeding down the road. St. Vincent is now legally exporting, and we are still having the decriminalization conversation. Now, if you're just joining us, my heading is to decriminalize or legalize. Why start at the bottom? Why not just head for the top? Because, the world is already far advanced with this conversation, so not just the conversation, but actually doing what we're talking about. They've gone past decriminalization. But they say we have to start somewhere. So we're going to continue the conversation this morning, and let's hear your take on it. Of course, you're invited to be part of the audience, and of course, join myself and my friend, Syisha Williams. Good morning, Syisha. How are you?
Good morning, Rina.
Happy New Year. It's 13 days gone, but it's still sufficient time to wish you well and greet you. I haven't seen you in a minute. I swear you're like Houdini. You're one of those who just appears and then you just disappear. I'm like, what is Syisha?
That's the second time I'm hearing that from a radio personality, so I'm taking that as a compliment. No, seriously.
It's a good thing or a bad thing?
It is a good thing for the movement.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a bad thing for your earnings because then people think you're not here. But then that
come a little closer to the mic. We're not hearing you.
That becomes a situation where it's like managing your space. Mm-hmm. So when I first came home, my space was open. It was everywhere. It was like wind. And then I lost a lot of weight and a lot of substance. So I learned the art of disappearing.
You have to distance yourself sometimes. You have to step back sometimes.
You live on an island.
I listen. You're talking to me. You know,
Exactly.
I'm like in there. So I understand the importance of disconnecting, and now more than ever, listen. You have a lot of folks complain about COVID-19 and this and that, but I honestly can't complain about COVID because now I didn't need to find an excuse to say I don't want to do something. I want to stay home. I want to be my place. Now here we have COVID. This has been the best, like literally the best. Last year was the best year of my life. It was about me. Didn't have to like share if I didn't want to. So you had your own space. You were able to disconnect and you were able to connect with who you chose to connect with based on what's happening in
Or who
COVID
really wants to connect
and
with
who
you.
really wants to connect with you. So that's something I keep telling people. You don't need to be part of the crowd every time. It's okay to step back.
There's an
step
interesting
away.
nerve you just touched. Most people are arguing now that COVID has forced people to wear masks. And a conversation I was having the other day with a friend of mine, and I was like, I don't think so. I think COVID has forced us to realize how many people are already wearing masks.
Wearing the mask.
Know who you are. So yeah, it's provided an opportunity for us. It's like when Ivan came. Ivan devastated us.
But he brought us together.
But that's how life is. Creation and destruction. They go hand in hand.
Yin yang.
So we looked at the hurricane from probably the worst perspective we could. And if we just change our perspective on most things, we'd realize it probably ain't that bad.
Listen, during that time, I've never had so many people check up on me.
Like I
you
said,
need
it's
anything?
Probably not that bad.
Down to some ice. Do you need some ice?
Funny you said that. That's another nerve you just touched on. He just passed away. His name is Vaughn Benjamin. The group name was Midnight Music Group. And one of these songs, it said, calamities force strangers to work together. Calamities forces us to work together, to put aside all our prejudices, all our biases, and actually work together for our common good. And in Grenada, because we don't have that sense of urgency, because you're not going to freeze to death. You're not going to go hungry. Water is 99% of the time is clean. You have shelter. You might have a love interest. What's the urgency to do much here? That's why places like in Africa, people are inventing slippers out of tires. Because I have an urgency.
Necessity.
That urgency makes me move. And until we have a sense of urgency in Grenada, the best meaning things probably will fail here. Like this whole cannabis thing.
That's a good way to segue into that part. The urgency. Because how many times we've had this conversation, Syisha?
Too many are not enough.
Okay.
Funny how that works.
Okay.
Too many and not enough.
Not enough. I got you. But we've been having this conversation, and it's like every time we have the conversation, we're still at the same spot. We're like the goalpost is not moving much. At least now we have the whole parliament. We're gonna talk about it in parliament now. That's another step. Before there it was okay. We're not gonna do this. This isn't who we are. We're a Christian society. Now at least we move to okay. Let's go take this to parliament.
So then there is movement.
The
movement we would like to see is not being done. However, the people that this will affect the most have to take some responsibility in this.
And I'm not hearing them.
This is the key. We want, which is the weirdest thing, the people who for years have taken advantage of us fought with the use of this plant, using this plant to take advantage of people, to lock them up, to take away their resources. We want them people right now to legislate against that in our interest. Am I drinking, or do I need to start drinking? Because if I do, somebody needs to recommend the best rum to drink for this to make sense. The person and the people who have kept you on the foot will never craft a bill for you in your best interest unless you get involved in that crafting process. When we first started this conversation, that's what I started with. Until and unless we get involved in the writing of the bill unless our opinions are in the crafting of this bill, it's just the same as before. We're doing the same thing. A bunch of people, a few, will get filthy rich. A bunch of people, the majority, will still have to be begging for a job. The purpose of this particular thing in Grenada, to me, my vision, our vision, is not to see a few people continue to get rich. It's to see an economy where anyone can get rich, long as they apply themselves. Not only just a few, because of how the laws are written, are getting rich, and the rest of us just got to do it because no matter what we do, the laws are prohibitive. However, that's not incumbent on those people who have gotten rich to do that for us. We have to get up and get active, get off our collective keisters, and actually get in the kitchen, get in the farm, plant the food, choose the seasonings, cook the food, and share it. Or at least be involved in the process of doing so. If you want to sit at the table and wait for a plate of food, and when it comes, you don't like it, keep your opinions to yourself.
You are not part of the process in preparing the food. Now you're interested in what would be on your plate.
Makes no sense. You're paying for the food. You're paying for all the ingredients. You're paying for the chef. But you won't tell him what to cook. And when he cooks whatever he wants, you're getting upset. I think that's called insanity.
But the thing about it is we have so many people, who would benefit from this, but they're silent. There are so many who have records as a result of a little joint here, a little joint there, but they're silent. And we're expecting 15 people to go to Parliament to act in our best interests, but we're not part of the process. And that is always my issue. That why aren't we more vocal on these things? I mean, we've had the conversation so many times. We've outlined so many ways this can be beneficial to us, and not just seen as, okay, a man smoking a joint here or there, or young people smoking and just going crazy. We've gone past that and highlighted so many ways that this can be beneficial. A couple of years ago, we spoke about...
You want to know a new one?
What's a new one?
Oregon State University just published research. This whole COVID thing. Cannabis stops it from infecting you. Look it up. They just published it. Boston Herald. Look it up.
I didn't have nothing yet.
Okay. But it's not smoking it.
It's what?
Getting the cannabinoids out of it. There's 2 cannabinoids in it that will bind with the spike protein to prevent it from basically infecting you. It stops it from doing one step in the process of infecting.
I need to go look this up.
The Boston Herald. I think it's "Stay Hydrated" is the name of the article.
What's the name of the page? Boston Herald.
Yeah. Oregon State just published this research, and this is not my opinion. This is not heresy. This is not feel-good information. This is researchable things. Go look it up. So if we really talking about the vaccines of this and the vaccines of that, and some people don't want to take, there's alternatives. Since before this research, Israel was researching this thing in treating COVID because it's an inflammatory disease. Cannabis is an anti-inflammatory. So the conversation that should and can be had surrounding legalization, not decriminalization in Grenada, needs to be elevated, more mature, looking forward. Smoke is looking backwards. If we're legalizing smoke, if we're decriminalizing smoking, we're looking backwards because people are already smoking. You don't need to decriminalize it. You just need to regulate the behavior.
Somebody here is saying that's because a majority of society still view cannabis as taboo. Society needs to be more educated.
Well, I've asked the Minister of Agriculture. I spoke to the Minister of Health, but it was on a different subject, dealing with cannabis, but on more on the CBD component. However, the platform that's required for this kind of education needs to come from the government. We've tried
from
this.
the top.
They have said that we will have consultation. So I have a question. The government is putting forward a bill to decriminalize. Who did they consult? Who wrote this bill? What's in it?
That is always my issue with
After-
consultations. I hear about consultations every time, but I'm not.
I'm getting to that. They're saying they're bringing it to cabinet now, or
Mhm.
after they discuss this and bring it to us. When was our input? The meeting at the Trade Center? That was one meeting. I've held many meetings all around Grenada. However, because there was no government input, it was still lacking authority.
Mhm.
It was helpful to see the Minister of Agriculture at the meeting at the Trade Center, but that was one meeting.
No, but there were no other.
We didn't even get in depth in anything. We just barely scratched the surface at that meeting. So how can we put together a robust bill that protects the rights of Grenadians, that protects small farmers and small business interests, that protects Grenadian sovereignty, and still allow investment from outside people that's not predatory? How do we do that when we only had one meeting with a small group of people in Grenada?
And no follow up, no nothing.
No, nothing. I've been asking. I've been damn near begging. Nothing. And trust me, you've seen the people I've introduced you to.
Mm-hmm.
We have people from literally all around the world that's willing to do this for us for free, to contribute anything we want, legal ideas, physical ideas, topical ideas,
the business
whatever
part
we
of it,
want.
everything.
So that when we come forward with a bill, it is literally like the shiny house on the hill.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a discussion to embarrass, shame, take away thunder from people, takes people glimmer. When this conversation is had properly, all the stakeholders involved will shine. They will, even if they don't want to shine, they will shine. All the people who want glory and fame, they will get it. Just get this done, but get it done properly. Constantly having to go back to the kitchen after food is cooked to correct the pot makes for mess. It doesn't make for good food. If you go in the kitchen and you cook it properly, you have a 5-star hotel with a world-class restaurant, because your food is proper, even though it may not even look good.
Because the thing is, you don't want like the same set of people to benefit from this. You want the small man to be part of this process. You don't just want, okay, decriminalize or smoke a little here, there. Then we've been talking about this. Well, I have not heard the oil conversation for a while now. And of course, the last consultation with the Prime Minister, the meeting, basically dismissed oil as, the go-to gas and what have you. And now I think it's an opportune time to really push this, because we keep talking about, we broke, we this, we that, we don't know where we're coming from, we're tired stretching our hands out and begging Uncle Sam and other places for handouts. But what are we doing to help ourselves? Like I said, just last week, St. Vincent is now exporting.
Well, see, something you just said. You don't want the people that to continue, how you said it? The people that have been benefiting from to benefit from it or something like that?
Yeah. Like
I would
the
word
big man
that
up there.
slightly differently. I don't mind. They benefit from it because that's what business is. If business is done properly, everybody will benefit from it. I don't
True.
mind you benefiting.
True.
What I require or demand almost is that we get to play in that game evenly, fairly. See, there's a difference. I don't want to stop the rich from making richness. Keep making your riches. Give us the opportunity, allow us the opportunity, move out of the way so we have the opportunity to get that same riches, if we so choose. The way how it's set up, even by law, we can't do that unless we break the law. What I would like is for all to be involved in this, for all to eat out of this pie, because there's enough for everybody to eat. Like some lady just said the other day, right now I think it's, was it $20 billion last year in cannabis in America?
Cannabis, yeah, 20 billion.
And it's projected to be like almost 30-something
Almost
billion in
30
like 2
something
years.
in next 2 years. I saw that article. I was reading it.
Most of the cannabis that we're talking about is all smoke. Think of that. We haven't even tapped into real medicine and textiles and all of that yet. We're still talking
Just
about
talking about the smoking
smoke.
component.
Smoke. $30 billion. Smoke. Imagine what you could do with things like
Oil.
treating COVID. Imagine you come up with a treatment that treats COVID, that people don't have to take these vaccines. Imagine that. And we patent something like that. How would Grenada look?
Beautiful.
If we wanted to do medical tourism, we can actually say we have a medicine for you here. Come here, we'll fix you. Just coming here will fix you alone. I mean, we're special. Sorry. But now we can actually have things that's made from here, other than just nutmeg and rum, to say, we'll help you with things. We actually have medication here that we know of, that we have created, that we could be proud of. There's a wealth of things that we could do, but we're still stuck in smoke. Because the platform to have this discussion where, like, honestly, this discussion should not be had at this time of the day.
No, it shouldn't.
This should be a prime time discussion. And I've said this to the Minister of Agriculture years ago. Give me a platform where I can talk to your constituency. I can talk to the members of your party. But it's not only
the minister, though. We have opposition. We have the Rastafarian community. There's so many other people out there who can have this conversation, because wasn't it the opposition who started the conversation on this about
the official conversation?
Yeah, they had a whole press conference speaking on this.
Let's break that down. So let's say I speak for the Rasta community. We have talked about this ad nauseum. The problem with us, we're disjointed and not united on this effort, and we haven't agreed on a message other than what I'm saying. And I alone cannot speak for the whole entire community, like I've said to them. We need to agree on something for me to speak. And I would
be a united front.
I would speak all day for free. In terms of the opposition parties, they did announce officially that they want this to happen, which pushed the bar, which I was grateful for. However, it seems like they're ill-prepared for this fight because I haven't heard from them. Even the announcement was primary at best, and I think it's a very weighty issue that they have just let slide, to my amazement. For what reason, I don't know. In terms of the leading party, they have wasted a lot of good substance on this and time on this also, in terms of educating people, because You've
literally offered yourself for free. Use me. You have a wealth of information.
Just open the door to your people's ears. I'm not trying to convince them of anything. All I would tell them is what it is. And I guarantee you, in about an hour, the hardest headed person will still agree with what I'm saying. Not because I've forced them, but the reality of what I'm saying is sound. A blind, dead person can see this.
Because the thing about it is, from the time you started this conversation, it has never been about the smoke and get high. It has always been about the benefits. It has all been about the economic benefits derived from legalizing it. So I don't know why we're still speaking about decriminalizing and smoking. We've gone past smoking. People are gonna smoke regardless.
I thought we passed that.
So we've passed that smoking stage, eons ago. We're now talking about the economic benefits. Like I said, we started pushing and talking about oil. We have oil in the ocean, we have oil in the wind, we have oil in the sky, and whatever. That oil conversation apparently is a dead horse now. We have something here. Listen, when it's a dry season, right? You see how dry it gets. It's like dry. The minute some rain falls, we don't even need a whole day of rain, a couple hours. Not even a couple, just a little wetting on the ground, and immediately everything is green again. There are lands that are just in bush and nobody's using, it's just there. There are farmlands that we can use. We just throw a seed. Sometimes I am in my house and I throw something out the window, like a seed. Like the other day, I threw some pumpkin seeds. They just threw it out the thing. And next minute, I'm seeing vine. I'm like, what the hell is this vine growing here? When I look, I'm seeing squash and pumpkin growing from seeds I just threw out the window.
Let me tell you something. The first man that I ever worked with or for professionally made a statement to me one day. And he said, "You remind me of an eagle, but you keep liking to hang out with pigeons." Eagles don't fly with pigeons.
Nope.
They
never
eat pigeons. And I didn't understand that for years.
I did.
And now that I've understood understood what he said, I still don't eat pigeons because they're my people. I want them to become eagles. Until we choose to become eagles,
Gonna remain pigeons.
no, not we remain pigeon, we remain food. Food. And we can't complain when people eat food. That's what food is for, eating. Choose. There is no, people complain, no, the Chinese are taking. Have you seen a Chinese boat or plane come in here with guns? Telling people give up their property and rights?
Nope.
Nope. They got receipts. Funny how you could take over your own house, huh? Ever heard of that? Man with a gun taking over his own house? Choose. There's choices we have to make. We can choose to be independent, sovereign people with our head high, or we can choose to be food and grovel on the ground like pigeons.
And then when you're food, anything you're given, you have to eat because you don't have a choice or a say in the matter.
You will be eaten.
Every time you stretch your hand out and somebody puts some, even though you don't like it, I don't like cuckoo, but if that's all that's given to me, I have to eat it, otherwise I'm gonna starve.
So as I said, this conversation that we should and could be having about cannabis in Grenada has way more to do with our actual sovereignty, our actual tangible independence, and not the idea of being free. Not freedom, but freeness. Actual being able to plan a budget and go on vacation with your family.
The funny thing is, we talk about independence.
Transfer wealth.
What does that mean, though? When we're talking independence and you can't even...
I'm actually explaining it. The ability to transfer wealth. Go on vacation. Plot your own course. Actual sovereignty. Without interference from someone that you think you're benevolent to, that you have to hold the faith to, because if you don't, you're going to starve or they're going to hurt you. I thought that was called slavery. Big S word. Have you forgotten?
Here we are, still in 2022, depending on handouts, when we could...
There's another way to phrase that. Still here we are, 2022, perpetuating our own slavery. Complaining all the while that other people is trying to slave us. Funny how that works.
When we actually have the resources at hand to free ourselves. We have the key sitting right there to unlock it. And you're watching the key and hoping the person unlocks it for you.
I'm glad you said that.
When you can pick up the key and unlock it yourself.
I'm glad you said that. So, Haile Selassie made a statement. I think it was an answer to a question years ago. He said the answer to all African problems, and I would replace Africa with Grenada. The answer to all Grenadian problems are in Grenada with Grenadians. The problem is Grenadians keep wanting to look outside of themselves and outside of Grenada for answers to Grenadian problems. And no matter how good they sound, they will never work in Grenada because it's not a Grenadian answer.
Can't just be hotels, man. It can't be that alone.
Well, we can't eat them.
We can put some.
Can you eat a hotel? Now, I would argue if you made the hotel out of cannabis, you'd have a better hotel. And it can be built from cannabis. It's another thing we haven't talked about.
Friendlier and safer for our environment.
The building won't kill you just by being in it. Every time you walk into a concrete building, it's killing you. Every single time, especially when it's not painted. Look it up. It's called sick house syndrome. Every time.
And these are things, and we just looking like, or someone says you have, your vision is so near. It's like right there, like
we can't see past.
We can't see past our nose, and
or is that we don't want to?
Or I don't think we can't. I think we don't want to.
Misery love
because
company.
Someone here is saying, you know what? The mentality is if they teach you to fish, you wouldn't buy the fish from them. You wouldn't need to buy the fish from them, and then they put penalties in place when you try it for yourself.
Think of that argument. If we all have fish, why do you need to buy fish? If we all have fish, why are you buying fish? If we all have our needs, our necessities met, what's really the need for money then? Huh? If you want true freeness, which people mistake this thing with freedom, I don't understand this concept of free and dumb together. If you want free, strive for a system where money is not a big part of it. Because if you make money the biggest part of your system, you will always have corruption. You will always have greed. You'll always have this temptation to wantonness. It's like in places where people are well-fed, well-educated, have good housing, access to medication, what's the crime rate? And please don't tell me America, because all of those things they do not
I'm
have.
looking at the Netherlands and all these places.
Right. Where they don't have the death penalty. What's the crime rate?
Have you seen their prison system? It's like you're going on
like
vacation.
Again, because
It's rehabilitating you. It's not wanting you to.
See, prison is not what it's called. It's called a correctional facility.
Mm-hmm.
Words are important.
I was looking at some pictures, and it's like people are.
You know, we had this conversation before,
vacation.
Right?
Yeah,
about correctional facilities. It's a correctional facility. It's not a housing project, which is what we're doing with the Chinese chief housing project we're building. That's the new prisons, because that's where the crime is going to come from in about 5 to 10 years after it's open up. You can't force people who don't know each other, who are financially strapped, who may not be as well educated as others, who drink alcohol, to get along in a tight, cramped area.
It's like the projects, right?
Especially when they don't have income coming in. It is the projects. It's our versions of it. And look into the Caribbean, look into America and Europe, any place this has been done, where these types of buildings have been done. Crime.
But we have so many young people leaving school, Syisha, and venturing into the traditional jobs, doctor, lawyer, blah blah blah. But there are so many other alternative, jobs you can get into.
In Grenada?
That you can now. If we had that foresight, that we did this whole cannabis conversation, there are so many jobs that can be derived from it, and it's not just like I said, the whole smoking thingy.
It's not just jobs; it's ownership as well. Entrepreneurship, where you have people creating businesses out of this.
We are basically forcing people to go back to the land to farm. We want young people to get involved in the traditional crops, the beans, tomatoes, what have you, but that's not where their interest lies. No. So imagine your father or your grandfather left you how many plots of land and it's just there in bush.
See, well, even on that,
because you're not interested in growing those traditional crops, so it's just there until somebody buys it, probably to put on a house.
And I would argue because of the messaging on that also. So if we were to message agriculture properly, what we would realize is there is tons and tons of money to be made in agriculture, even without weed.
And we have the land.
However, when you make agriculture out to seem like it's the dirty man, the poor man thing, who wants to do that? I want to look good. I want to floss. I want people to see me when I pass and be like, hey, Mr. So-and-so, hey, you're looking good, boy.
I could do that driving out.
But you can in farming.
Mm-hmm.
You know how much for a tractor? You know how much for a tractor?
A lot of money.
You see these men driving around with their staying up shirt, driving a tractor, and they own that. That's considered a rich man, because that tractor ain't cheap. Okay? The wealth that's in farming has to do with more with how we go about farming here, not with farming itself. Because honestly, there's only a few actual farmers in Grenada. Most of the other people are gardeners.
True.
We plant a little bit of this, plant a little bit of that.
Yeah, if you look at the true meaning of farming. Uh-huh.
It's called agriculture science for a reason. Again, we've had this conversation before. There's a science behind everything. That feeling you have is actually based on something. And yes, it's good to feel that, but back it up with some research.
So that's where we are now in terms of our
that's where we could
cannabis conversation.
That's where we could be.
Still talking decriminalization.
Yeah, notice we're literally repeating all the same things. Instead of being able to take from strength to strength, we're going from strength back, having to start up to go to strength. That's why I said the process is the process here has produced fruit. The fact that the government even announced this is fruitful. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for moving on that. However, there's still work to be done because people are still being charged for cannabis in Grenada. And when we say legalization, again, we do not mean wanton smoking anywhere, wanton use of cannabis anywhere, to do whatever you can. I had a conversation with someone else. Driving is legal in Grenada, remember? Can you do whatever you want with a car?
No.
Alcohol is legal. Can you do whatever you want with alcohol?
No. I got charged for holding my phone while driving.
Having a phone is legal. Can you do whatever you want with a phone?
Nope.
No. Even posting certain things on your phone is illegal, and it's your phone. So we have to get out this immature idea of, oh, well, if you legalize it, people could just do whatever they want. No, they won't.
No.
We've done this before. And oh, by the way,
it's called Legalize. It comes with rules and regulations. It comes with
not only that, but there's empirical data from other countries in the world who have done this already. And all we need to do is look to see what the data says. And the data is all positive. There's a few negative things in there, but the majority of the data is positive. So why aren't we actually sitting down with the best people that can help craft the best bill for all Grenadians and our best interests? I don't understand that. Why aren't we doing that?
So, like I said, it's not a one-man show. It requires everybody getting involved: opposition,
Everyone.
Rastafarian community, everybody, me,
everybody.
you, the church, everybody. Because I think the holdup has basically been the church over the years. They've been very, very.
But they
But I have not heard them in
That's
recent
not-
times on it.
but that's not true either. The church is the one that put together the symposium at the Trade Center. That was
Really?
not the government. People keep thinking that was the
I
government.
thought it was the
That
government.
was no government.
Well,
That's-
the way the minister spoke about it, I thought it was like
Call Sandra
government.
Ferguson. That wasn't the government. That was the church.
Okay.
I commended
Well,
the church for that.
Let me commend them for that.
I think it was Bishop Harvey or somebody that led it. And if you go back, I think, and listen to his opening statement, I think he admonishes the government by saying something towards the extent of, I don't understand why y'all dragging y'all foot on this. What's taking so long? Because remember, since 2018, the Prime Minister had signed the CARICOM report on cannabis,
Mhm.
which stated that CARICOM countries will legalize, but they will do it in their own time and framework.
Mhm.
That's why they had announced we want to do consultation to be able to come up with a framework for it. But I'm still
2018,
begging,
19,
where
20,
is
21.
one discussion is not a consultation.
Because there's nothing on people saying this is what we.
And who is the people involved in crafting this bill? Who are they talking to be able to craft a bill for Grenadians? I don't know. I think the government is giving away an opportunity here to have this process totally open and upfront and really have a big feather in their cap by doing this, because people will feel like their input, their voices will listen to.
Listen, so the election period, so let's not let's keep hope alive. Things will move in that direction. Anything happens within an election cycle, that could be one of them. Miracles happen every day. Someone says Roger says we should have government scholarships given to attain the required knowledge and skill sets to advance this industry.
Well, we give out scholarships to lots of other things, especially the service sector in terms of the service industry. And as much as we depend on the tourists, we can't eat them. As much as we depend on the tourist dollar, we still can't eat the dollar.
And it's not coming in as it should with COVID and all of that. So
Which things are changing. So we
everybody stayed at them.
we don't have a choice. We have to change. The issue that I'm concerned about is how and what that change look like. How we change and what is that going to look like. And what I'm afraid of or nervous about is that the change is not actual change. It's just turning around. Literally just going in circles. It's not actual change. It's just revolving.
Just what, because honestly, that's what it feels like. I feel like we've just been going around in circle. You ever seen a dog just running around
With
after
its
its
tail?
tail? Like, your tail is right there. Just stop and catch it.
Like I said, the fear is that we're going to repeat the same mistakes that
But
led us to this point. Only difference is now we will do it with cannabis.
The dog just keeps running around and around trying to catch its tail. And if only it'll stop, it'll be able to catch its tail.
At some point, though, like I said earlier, we have to take account for our shortcomings. Like I said, remember we had that conversation? I admit my shortcomings in terms of trying to organize the Rasta community. I failed. I'm sorry. I did everything I could. It didn't work. Okay. I accept that. The other people in our country need to start taking responsibility for their shortcomings and their failures. And they don't have to do like me and announce it publicly. You know, no one is telling you come shame yourself. But at least when you look in the mirror, admit something to yourself. You failed. Or you haven't done enough. And there's more you can do. All of us can do more. It doesn't require you to be a rich person. It doesn't require you to do heavy lifting. the simplest thing you could do is they go to church every Sunday. And in that book, it says, the least a human can do is speak the word. You don't have to make me do nothing. All you have to do is introduce me to the idea. It's up to me now.
You are so right. And that's a good way to end. Final words before we go. What are your thoughts? What do you hope to see? What do you like to see?
Again, I really would like that I'm going to try to call him again, the Minister of Agriculture, to have a sit down to find out exactly how and what's going on to improve that bill so it looks good for all of us. Anyone, even the Minister of Legal Affairs, since that's going to be one of the people important in writing this bill. There's a wealth of information. Y'all just letting sit in the bush and rot, proverbially. And I think they could tap into that if that's what they're going to do before elections. I don't like if I'm gonna build a car, I want the best mechanics on it. This is not about ego, because once and let's argue this. If it is about ego, if you come out with the best car, hey, all right,
you got it.
So yeah, let's try to get the best car.
I like that.
Jalopy don't work no more.
Nope.
Pushing is a thing.
Nope. I haven't even seen a donkey in a long time either.
I actually see one every day.
You do?
It's a cool one. Yeah. It's up there in like by Lassa Just area. It's really cool.
I've not seen them in ages.
And thank you again for having.
You are so welcome.
This conversation.
Anytime. We gotta continue the conversation, man. So, like I said, hopefully wheels will start spinning a little faster after this gets to Parliament, and we'll see something coming out of it. Way more can come out of it than what we're getting at this present time, because we are definitely getting left. We are getting left for all the wrong reasons. Anyway, Syisha, a pleasure as always. So I'll catch you again, my brother.
Thanks, sis.
Thanks so much for checking in. You're always available. Any last minute, could call you in 2 hours and you're like, yeah, I'm there. Thanks so much.
Like I said, once it's for the cause.
I got you.
All right.
Thanks so much, everyone on the live who've been following along and, of course, contributing to the conversation. Thank you so much. That's it for this week. We'll be back next week with another ladies' room right here on Power 95. And, of course, thank you to our kind sponsors, Western Union, Beacon Insurance, and Escomar Variety Store. Hopefully you guys will catch us again for another one on Monday, God's will. Until then, thank you so much for powering up. Akeem, you're late. You're so very late. You'll have to catch it from the start. Go back and listen and watch. All right? Have a good one, y'all.